There have been so many times a customer has said to me, "Why does this lipstick feel different? Why does this foundation seem lighter, drier, heavier than before? The shade, it's different. Why does my moisturizer look different? Packaging is different. Why does this feel different? The formula feels off. Or worse, it's discontinued." And trying to explain to a customer that, "I'm sorry, I don't really know what happened. Brands just sometimes they adjust things," or you have to say nothing has changed to this customer who's standing there knowing it is different, because that's what you're told to say. It's not different. Recipe, the same. Fragrance, it's totally the same. When you know it is not. And you know the brand that you and this client love has been bought, and the change has started to ripple to the counter, and you're the one left holding the broom, and you got to clean up the shit. Welcome to Sorry It's Discontinued. I'm Hillary, someone who's been in retail for over 26 years, and this is a podcast about the reality of retail, the people who keep it going every day, and the brands and stores we all love. So have a seat, hit follow, and join me. Because today, I want to talk about these big beauty companies and what happens when they buy out these smaller ones. They don't just acquire brands to grow. They acquire them to expand, create consistency, and of course, increase their profit. And while that can bring opportunity and expansion, before you even realize it, the heart of the brand that everyone fell in love with, it starts to feel different. The people who feel it the most, it's the customer and the one standing there face to face with the client, trying to explain it. Sorry. It's discontinued. So this is happening in real time right now. There are active discussions about a potential deal between Estee Lauder and Puig, a move that could create a beauty powerhouse worth tens of billions of dollars with dozens of brands under one roof. And if that deal goes through, it would combine everything from skincare giants to makeup icons and some of the most powerful fragrance brands right now in the world. And it would combine them into one massive portfolio. At the same time, L'Oreal has already made a major move, finalizing a multi-billion-dollar acquisition of Kering Beauty, which includes luxury fragrance houses like Creed, along with long-term licenses for designer brands. And this is huge because that deal alone was around maybe $4 billion. It was designed to strengthen L'Oreal's position, which they already are most of the time in the number one spot. But their position in luxury fragrance and high-end beauty, and it increased its stake in skincare companies. It doesn't stop there. We've seen in the past year, e.l.f. Beauty acquire Rhode for around $1 billion. Major players like Hinkle and P&G actively expanding their portfolios. This isn't random. Of course, it's strategy and the direction the entire industry is moving in. Because right now, beauty is more competitive than ever, more global, and honestly, more expensive to grow in than ever before. And what that means, scale is everything. So companies no longer just are trying to have great brands. They're trying to have more brands across more categories and more places around the world. Because if you can control fragrance, skincare, makeup, and the distribution to global markets, you don't just participate in the industry. You motherfucking dominate it. And that's why we're seeing this huge shift where beauty is consolidating. The biggest companies in the world, they're buying these small, niche heritage brands, not just because they love them. They're like, oh, that brand is so sweet. I just want to be part of the family. But it's because those brands already come with built-in loyalty, strong identity, and a proven customer base. And instead of building something from scratch, which we know can cost some money, takes time, they're acquiring something that already works. And this strengthens their portfolios, and they can expand faster in these different categories. And they gain global distribution power. So look at fragrance right now. Fun fact, luxury fragrance is one of the fastest growing categories in beauty right now. That is a big reason major companies are investing so heavily in fragrance and buying fragrance houses. The global fragrance industry today, it's worth roughly 60 to $80 billion. That's crazy town. So yes, everything these big beauty companies are doing is to own more of the market. Fewer companies controlling more brands. And that shift, it can change everything. We know that this has been happening for years. Anyone in the industry, anyone even not in the industry, of course, you cannot forget how Estee Lauder has built its empire. They literally did it this way. So let's look at the major brands Estee Lauder acquired. Not created, acquired. So makeup, prestige beauty, MAC Cosmetics, number one. They had a major stake in 1994 and full ownership by 1998. Bobbi Brown Cosmetics took it over in 95. Too Faced in 2016, they bought it for roughly around $1.45 billion. Smashbox, 2010, took it over. And Becca Cosmetics, they acquired it in 2016, and it was shut down in 2021. How about skincare? La Mer, they acquired it in 1995. Aveda, 97. Origins, 1990. And Dr. Jart, 2019. Estee Lauder bought the company that owns The Ordinary, which is DCM. Is that how you say it? DCM? Anyway, so now they own The Ordinary, which I use. I love their 12% vitamin C serum. I used it this morning. I use it in the morning under my serums and skincare. But I bought it from Sephora during their sale. It's so good. And it's not crazy expensive. So I just love it. Anyway, they also bought Glam Glow in 2015. Now, Glam Glow is so interesting because it was so focused at the beginning when they were running the show. They had just a few hero products and they had this built-in strong identity. But after the acquisition with Estee Lauder, the brand, it expanded really quick. There were more SKUs, more visibility, and more pressure to grow. And over time, we saw that pull back. You don't see it around now very much. Fewer products, much less presence. Now, they even invested in hair care. Bumble and Bumble in 2000. So I know I mentioned Aveda earlier, but fun fact, Aveda was founded in 1978 by Horst Rechelbacher, which if you go back to one of my previous episodes when I sat down with Rhonda Jackson, who's an incredible makeup artist here in Houston, she had an amazing experience working for Aveda back in the day. I just love her story. But Aveda was so unique at the time because it was already known for plant-based ingredients. They had holistic beauty and they were environmentally responsible. And Estee Lauder acquired it in 1997. They kept it separate from their traditional department store brands, and they focused just staying on in salons and spas. And they really kept that strong emphasis on sustainability and rituals. They really maintained that focus. And of course, over time, that has slowly changed. Now, Estee Lauder and their fragrance house and designer licenses, it's crazy. They're huge. I don't think a lot of people know that Estee Lauder acquired so many of these brands. So Estee Lauder acquired Jo Malone London in 1999. You might have even seen recently that Estee Lauder was in the news for having maybe a challenging disagreement with the woman named Jo Malone. I don't know. You may need to do some research on that, but it's a little bit in the papers. Well, digitally. Of course, Tom Ford Beauty, they fully acquired it in 2022 after a long partnership. But we need to do a deep dive because, fun fact, do you guys know why Tom Ford even partnered with Estee Lauder in the first place? He wanted to keep it in America as still an American brand, but they had already had a proven relationship. So before Tom Ford Beauty even launched, he had worked with Estee Lauder in the early 2000s while he was at Gucci. He helped develop Youth Dew Amber Nude and Azure Soleil. So there was already trust and creative chemistry there. And when he started his own brand, he needed infrastructure, not necessarily just money. So he launched his brand in 2005 with the fashion, accessories, luxury vision. And then in 2006, he partnered with Estee Lauder and began Tom Ford Beauty. And with that partnership, Estee Lauder licenses and develops the beauty line. Their first major launch was Black Orchid fragrance, which was huge at the time. He'd actually hired a botanist to help create and grow these flowers because he didn't like any of the orchids that he was smelling. But he hired this botanist out of California to help grow these flowers and create the orchid. And it was such a unique scent at the time. More men were wearing it than women, even though it was launched for women, that it was in the GQ magazine. And it just exploded. Now, Tom Ford wasn't just launching a fragrance, he was launching a full luxury universe. So Estee Lauder offered global manufacturing, distribution, and department stores, but very selectively. It was placed in top-tier luxury retailers. First off, it was placed in Neiman Marcus. Then came Saks Fifth Avenue, Bergdorf Goodman, and Estee Lauder. They helped market Tom Ford at a luxury level so they could take Tom Ford's vision and make it global fast. And what was so great at the time, Estee Lauder respected his creative control, which is huge. It doesn't happen a lot of the time. But Tom Ford, he was known for being very specific, very detail-oriented, this is my vision, this is what I want to do. And Estee Lauder, they allowed him to do it, to maintain creative direction and build the brand his way, keeping that ultra luxury positioning. So it didn't feel mass produced. Everything was intentional. It was honestly the best of both worlds, and it turned heads. Because Estee Lauder, they knew how to sell at high price points and storytelling and experience, which is exactly what Tom Ford needed. It really exploded at the time, and people just fell in love with the brand. Now, the other fragrance brands Estee Lauder acquired, we have to say Le Labo, 2014, Frederic Malle, 2015, by Kilian, 2016. It's important to say that this it's not just one company like Estee Lauder that this can happen with, where brands don't succeed under a big beauty umbrella. We've seen this pattern across the beauty industry where smaller brands acquired did not expand the way that they expected. Like Urban Decay, acquired by L'Oreal. Urban Decay started as an edgy, anti-mainstream brand, but after acquisition, it became much more widely distributed and accessible. It helped bring growth, but after a while, fans feel like it lost a lot of the original edge. Bare Minerals, acquired by Shiseido. They were dominant, but over time, it lost its momentum and eventually it was sold off. Dermalogica, acquired by Unilever. Dermalogica, they've continued to grow globally, but a lot of professionals feel the brand had shifted from its original, more niche and clinical roots, and it's gone more broad and more corporate. So it's not necessarily about one company screwing things up, but it can be a pattern. When brands grow quickly after being acquired, they don't always shift in that way that keeps with their original identity, and things start to feel different. To be fair, because there are real benefits, or can be real benefits to these deals. When a big company acquires a smaller brand, it's not always about taking something away. Sometimes it's about giving that brand the ability to become something bigger than it ever could have on its own. Because, of course, these larger companies, they bring infrastructure, they bring systems, they bring resources. Suddenly, that niche brand that maybe you could only find online or in a few specialty stores, it's now sitting in major department stores. It's available internationally. It's showing up in duty-free and travel retail. It's being introduced to customers all over the world. And that kind of exposure, it is powerful. More people get to experience it and fall in love with it. But behind the scenes, there's even more happening. When these larger companies, they have marketing budgets, they have full creative teams, global campaigns, celebrity partnerships, and advanced research and development. They can refine formulas, improve packaging, speed up innovation. And for a founder, someone who started that brand from nothing and created it, it can be life-changing. Definitely financially, yes, but also in terms of legacy. Because suddenly something they built has the opportunity to live on at a much larger scale. That's huge. And it can reach places that they may never have been able to reach with that brand all by themselves. So for a moment, it could feel like the best of both worlds. The heart of a small brand with the power of a global company behind it. Sometimes, yeah, it can work. But if you look at the industry as a whole, only a portion of acquired brands become long-term powerhouses. A large number, they fall somewhere in the middle, growing but changing. And then there's the group that lose momentum or disappear completely. So acquisition, it doesn't guarantee success. It honestly can just change the course, change the path that that brand was on. And sometimes not for the better. Now, there is another layer to this, the part that's more complicated that touches me personally and just plain annoying. The changes to these brands, they can be made to the brand after it was bought. Now, not all changes are obvious. They are strategic. Sometimes, if you're lucky, they're announced, like when a product is reformulated or relaunched, it has a full campaign behind it. There's language that we're given, there's education, there's a story, and we can actually explain that to the customer. And it's more understandable if you are the customer and you're finding out that one of your favorite things is different. or not there anymore. But then there are the other changes, the ones that are a lot more challenging and just fucking suck. It's the quiet ones, the ones no one talks about, a product that just doesn't perform like it used to. And now, as the associate, as the brand ambassador, as the lovely person behind the counter, you're in a different position, because how do you explain something that hasn't even been acknowledged? How do you stand behind something, a product, when it doesn't feel the same? And this is where it gets really hard, when the change is subtle or not spoken about, unspoken. You're left navigating that conversation on your own. And it can create distrust, and it can break loyalty. It's such a challenge between what you're told, what the brand is saying, and what the customer is experiencing, which a lot of times that change customers notice right away. So when these massive portfolios grow, more and more brands are under one roof, they just don't get treated equally, and it affects everything. Some brands get bigger marketing budgets, more visibility, more support, but the smaller brands, they quietly get less, and it can affect the attention they get, the investment into the brand, and the space for the smaller brands over time. And those small brands begin to fade, sometimes slowly, sometimes all at once. And you don't think about it when you hear acquisition, because we're told everything will stay the same, the brand will be supported. It's fine. It's a positive move for all of us, all around. But history has shown us that's not always how it plays out. So when you start thinking about what's happening now with these massive portfolios growing and these potential mergers, or the ones that have already happened, what brands are going to be prioritized, which ones will be pushed, and which ones might not make it. Because when everything is under one roof, not everything can shine. And some of the products under those brands get lost along the way. And the loyalty with the clients that fell in love with those products and those brands to begin with, it becomes collateral damage. Loyalty in beauty, it's emotional. It's not just about the product. It's a memory. It's the identity. It's your routine. And it's the way that that product made you feel, makes you feel, can really, it works. It works for you, especially a foundation shade. That color works for you. You know how hard it is to find foundation sometimes, especially with some of these brands. They don't have huge foundation ranges, or they might have so many, but they're still too red or too yellow or too pink. So you find this product that really feels personal and you fall in love with it. And then it disappears. So how does this affect the people behind the counter? It shows up as new sales goals that don't always match reality, different priorities, what matters now versus what used to matter, changes in training, messaging, and focus, the inventory shifts, things missing, things being pushed, pressure to sell what's strategic instead of what's right, not really focusing on what the client needs, because the product that they needed anyway is not even there, and you're highlighting something that might not even work for them. And sometimes the products that we believed, that we really believed in, and now we're standing there face to face with someone who's been buying that product for 5, 10, 15 years, trying to explain, why is this gone? Why is this product different? There's no script for that. And we're not just selling products. We are holding relationships. We are holding trust with people who come in looking for their item that they use as a ritual. There's emotion in that. There's history. And that's something you just don't see from the outside. You don't see from the table in the corporate office at the headquarters of the brand who has been bought by the other brand. So all of this said, tying it all together, what is happening to beauty? Are these companies preserving the culture of beauty? Are they slowly industrializing it? Because beauty used to feel intentional. It felt personal, like an experience. And now, with how big things are becoming, it feels like speed, strategy, performance metrics. Ugh, so boring. We are in a transition where smaller brands are being absorbed and bigger companies are getting even bigger, and where the definition of luxury is starting to shift. We all see it. It's just changing. It's mass produced. So the real question becomes, for all of us as customers, as employees, as creators, what do we want beauty to feel like? At the end of the day, this industry does not survive on products alone. It survives on people, not corporate greed. And how we choose to protect this feeling moving forward. And the trust. That's what's going to define what beauty becomes next. It's easy to focus on numbers and deals and strategy, but what gets lost in all of that is the human side. It was built on people, this industry, the person who created the brand to begin with and had a vision, and how it was built on the people standing behind the counter that bring this brand to life every day with their storytelling and passion for what they're selling. But most of all, it was built on the person walking in, trusting this associate, trusting this brand, falling in love with the product, love with the foundation, in love with the fragrance, and making it a part of their daily ritual. Now, if you've ever had a product change on you or disappear completely, discontinued, I want to hear your story. Tell me about what you miss. Tell me about a product you can't find and it has broken your heart. When you realize after all the searching you've done, unless you want to spend $500 on a lipstick on eBay, that it is nowhere to be found. Like my prescriptives, magic powder that I talk about all the time. I wish it would come back. I can still feel the coldness on my skin. And then the little dewy, sparkly, pearlescent look. Oh, I wish it would come back. I just loved it. But you are not alone. Trust me, you are not alone to miss a favorite. So, man, I feel so serious talking about these companies and them just doing things, you know? It's okay. Change can be good, blah, blah, blah. Thank you again for sitting with me today. And if there is something that you want me to talk about or expand on this topic that I'm talking about today, talking, or on something you've heard in previous episodes and I missed something that you want me to speak about for you, I will do it. Just go to sorryitsdiscontinued.com. You can send me a message. You can go on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok and send me a message through there. But I would really like to speak for you, my retail warriors. Now, I hope you have a beautiful week and you take 5 minutes to really pamper yourself. You breathe and remind yourself how wonderful you are, and you got this. Anyway, shop in store, support your local sales associates, and smile, whether you are behind the counter or in front of it. Oh my gosh, I don't even think I was smiling for this episode. I've been so serious. Ugh. Anyway, I will see you next time. I really need to relax. All right, see you next time, guys. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to Sorry, It's Discontinued, the podcast that brings you the reality of retail and the people, brands, stores, and products we all love. If you enjoyed today's episode, hit follow, leave a review, or share it with a fellow retail warrior. You can always connect with me or support the show at sorryitsdiscontinued.com or buymeacoffee.com/sorrypodcast. Now, this podcast is independently produced and not sponsored by any brand, company, or organization. All views, opinions, and personal stories shared are their own and do not represent any retailer or brand mentioned. Brand names, product references, and service mentions are included for storytelling and commentary purposes only. But I thank you so much for sitting with me today. And remember, continue to shop in store, support your local stores and your local sales associates. You can even call them and order. It's amazing. And every visit helps keep these stores open so we can all continue enjoying real in-person retail therapy. And I'll see you next time. I appreciate you so much. Bye. Sorry. It's discontinued.